This is my favorite cryptid. I shouldn't say
Okay.
that because I don't want the other ones to get jealous, but it actually is my favorite cryptid. It's an Iowa cryptid of all places. And I'm a Florida girl, born and raised in Florida.
Okay.
Uh,
That's where I'm at now. So,
oh, very nice.
right, right.
I couldn't even point Iowa out on a map to you, to be honest, until a
Mhm.
couple years ago. It's a little embarrassing for me. But now that I'm familiar with the Midwest, I mean, it's crazy out here in general. We actually just did a cryptid US, it was a US regions ranking video, and everybody was very upset that the Midwest actually got the top spot for creepiest
Oh,
cryptids. So we
okay.
can talk about that more later. But the Van Meter Visitor is actually the one that really got me into cryptids as a specific group within like folklore and things like that. It's a story, a true story, about a town in Iowa called Van Meter, Iowa. And basically, this whole town saw this enormous dragon bat creature over a period of like 5 days. And it's in recorded journals from the time, it's in recorded newspapers. There's a really great book on it by a guy named Chad Lewis and his team. They're really great. They did a good job kind of breaking it down and explaining it some more. But the story behind that one is just it's hard not to believe, to be honest.
Mhm.
So that's really the one that convinced me, like maybe there are some things that are out there, and that's really what set off the investigation per se.
You got to tell me more, man. Break down this Van Meter Festival.
Yeah.
The story when it came out a little bit.
So essentially, in 1903, in Van Meter, Iowa, there, like I was saying, was a whole town that was involved in this. So the first day, this traveling salesman was coming home from his house, and he saw something very strange that was sitting up on a telephone pole, or like a street lamp, something
Mhm.
like that. I don't think they had telephones yet. So it was a street lamp. He was sitting up on top of a street lamp, and the guy saw this creature that was at least 10 feet tall with light coming out of its head. And that was the first
Okay.
time it was seen. But
Right.
over the next few days, I mean, there was an incident that happened at a bank where it was outside of a bank, and someone in the bank, the security guard in the bank, tried to shoot at it. And you can actually go visit the bank where this happened still to this day and go see like the notches that are in the wall and things like that. So those are the pieces when the folklore meets the history, and you can actually see the evidence is when it gets really interesting. Allegedly, it was said that somebody actually took a mold of a footprint of the creature, but we've never really been able to discover that. So 50-50 on that one. But
Okay.
it all ended when all the townsfolk in Van Meter essentially got to the edge of this hill to go kind of shoot it down finally for the last time. And they saw it fly down into this mine shaft. They tried to shoot at it, they didn't get it. And so they basically like impounded the mine and covered it up so it would never get out. And to that day, that's where it stayed.
To that day, that's where it stays. It's called the Van Meter
The
Monster.
Van Meter Visitor. Yeah,
Oh, the
is the
Van Meter.
cryptid
Sorry,
for it.
the
Yeah.
Van Meter visitor right there. Yeah. So and again, I was just looking. I guess evidently there is a Van Meter festival. Is
There is, yes, there is a Van Meter festival that happens in Van Meter, Iowa every year. I believe this year it's September 26th and 27th, and we should actually be there. So
okay.
it's a fun time. If anybody wants to come check it out, come say hi to us. We will be there.
Are you gonna?
We're
Will
excited
you have a
about it.
tent, or are you just gonna be walking
Yeah,
the
yeah,
crowd?
we'll have a table.
Okay.
So you can come over, say hello, buy some really cool merch that we have, and an extra special surprise that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, that's right. So this is Van Meter, the Van Meter visitor with the mine shaft that came out of it. So that festival, is that centered around this event, like the
Yes.
Mothman
Yeah,
festival up there?
exactly. Like Mothman has its own festival. There are a lot of cryptid festivals around the US, and this one
Yeah.
happens to be for the Van Meter Visitor.
All right.
Subscribe now and turn on notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.